Hello, everyone. Welcome to Basic Binges. And even though the Book of Boba Fett is a weekly release, all of us basically stay up to binge it immediately. And I'm so excited to welcome everyone that we have here today. And I'm Sabina Graves, and y'all might know me from different shows on Nom Talk Network, like Fans Cooking Fiction and Basic Brunches with the Jedi Master of this show, I would say. Here we are talking about the Book of Boba Fett, and we have the lovely Catrina Dennis here.
Hello. Hi. Thanks so much for having me, Sabina. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, and we have Michael Lee.
Hello. How's it going?
From That's It LA, and
yes.
Laura.
And many more.
Hello.
All of us, we're here. We did it. We are doing the thing. And all of us are Star Wars fans, fans of all the Disney Plus shows that just drop whenever they want to, and we will stay up for them despite having to work and having deadlines. But we live for it. Oh my gosh, Laura, what are you drinking?
Drinking boba.
Oh yes.
In honor of Boba.
I really should have ordered boba before this stream. Next time.
Anytime you say boba, I'm like, I crave it. So I'm like, I have to be prepared. So I was like, okay, any stream, I have boba. Anytime watching boba, like Boba Fett, I'm gonna drink boba. It's in my
solid plan.
Amazing. And we're technically starting this sort of after show a week into the series. So 2 chapters have dropped, and they basically start to flesh out Boba Fett's backstory and mythology that was kind of happening concurrently to The Mandalorian. We saw in the first episode that his armor was taken away. And it was hilarious. So now we know how that happened. I really like those quests of oh, that's how this happened. And we see, how that had played out on The Mandalorian when his armor was donned by somebody else. And those little Jawas, man, they know when to hustle some
they're
props.
Tricky.
Yeah.
I respect it. They work real hard for what they do. Even though they're thieves, they really put in the work. So
for sure.
They punch them, they kick them and all that stuff, they hit them with the thing. I was just like, oh, they're brutal. I they were crooks and everything, but I didn't know how brutal.
Mm-hmm. They're small, but very mighty.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how I describe Catrina.
I'm only 5 feet tall, but I'm very dangerous. I brought this up on Twitter, but I really like that a good deal of the story has Boba in his underoos. It's really interesting.
Like Long Johns?
Yeah, because he looks so silly, but I think it's a testament to Tamura's performance that he, beyond his little Nemo pajamas, he's this incredible lead, and he can pull that off in that outfit. So kudos to him.
For sure. And to have a history playing not just Boba Fett, but Jango and other iterations of the clones, and then now kind of stepping into this iconic role that for so long was so iconic was because you didn't know the man behind the helmet, and it was a character that didn't say much in the original films, and then had a very epic goodbye, which wasn't entirely a goodbye.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was known in the galaxy as the baddest bounty hunter in the galaxy. So it's that's why people idolized him. They're oh, even if he's in a few seconds, it's but he is canon as the best and the baddest bounty hunter. And I feel people have this idea of him oh, since he's the baddest, it's oh, he's macho and everything. But I'm glad we get to peel through the layers now of this character. He's still a badass. It doesn't take away from his badass, but there's more there's more layers and dimensions to him, and I really appreciated like we get to peel back each episode, the 2 episodes, we get to peel back the layers.
For sure. And I love that he doesn't have to wear the helmet all the time. I was reading in an article, I think the Rolling Stone interview that recently came out with Tamira, and he was talking about how in The Mandalorian, in the episode that he was in that Rick Famuyiwa directed, he was like, take the helmet off. Like, let's see, you know, like you can perform without it and stuff. And then kind of from there has sprung into him really giving the character more nuance and allowing him such an awesome like opportunity to perform, and he just like kills it every week.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I really appreciated that we got to see, like, because I know a lot of people complaining like he's not a real Mandalorian, he has his helmet off. It's just like, no guys, you need to understand, like, he's different. Like there's something different about Boba Fett now, like the rebirth of him. And I feel like I really love this. It's the book of Boba Fett. Like now the book is like the new chapter, the chapters in his life, and the second episode really was a rebirth of this character. And I feel like it's just like, yeah, it's crazy because like for me, sorry, it's wild, but for me because I think that this series, like without the helmet and stuff, it really gives more depth to Tamira's characters that he's played throughout the years, and also like it's great to see his face and just to see the struggles instead of it hiding. You could do voice acting and everything, that's great and it works, but there's just more layers to this Mandalorian who is now reborn.
I am really hoping we see more of, because we did kind of get a little flash of that in episode 2 with his flashbacks, but like I really want to see what Boba's relation to like the Mandalorians are, because we really only saw him like butt heads with Bo-Katan, and like, I mean, I'm sure we all have feelings about it, but as like a first gen, you know, child from my parents, like, you know, my dad's side of the family, it's always interested me the way Boba Fett relates to his dad's heritage, because, you know, like okay, Jango is a foundling, so he is a Mandalorian. That makes him a Mandalorian. He's a founding. That's it. Like, I don't care what anyone's arguments are. Jango is a Mandalorian. Boba is the child of a Mandalorian who not necessarily like obligated to their practices, and like we don't really know what his interest in that is. But we do know that like he's doing his best to like carve this big name for himself, and to do that, like to say like I'm gonna make my own legacy, like it's hitting me deep in a lot of ways, and so it's really cool to see these deeper sides of him.
Definitely. And you have those flashbacks where he's out in the field and he's holding his father's helmet, and it's just so heartbreaking because that was like it was his family. It was the biggest connection he had to anyone. Mm-hmm. And how he goes from that to being like the most dangerous bounty hunter in the galaxy, I think is also so intriguing. And yet he is also very capable of like kind of finding his own family. You know, you have like his relationship with Fennec. It's great. And how he, you know, embraces the Tusken Raiders. Like, you're kind of just like, oh my gosh, it's such a fun, like it's so unexpected because like you know when they pop up, you're like, oh man, they're gonna like beat the crap out of whoever. But then that turn was really, really cool to see that play out. Like, how did you all react to that in the second episode?
This is something I've been waiting for since Clone Wars. Like I'll be real quick about this, but like we saw shades of this with Boba in the Clone Wars when he was like a teenager, where he basically went around the galaxy like adopting the most notorious and dangerous bounty hunters ever and learning from them. You know, he learned from Bosk, who I hope we'll see again. He learned from Dengar and Asajj Ventress and even Cad Bane. Like, you know, what we're seeing now is this perfect reflection that I feel like it really shows that John and the creators of the show have looked back to what's established for Boba, and now they're making that like flourish for a grand scale audience.
Definitely. I love how it works like, through all the different generations of people who watch Star Wars.
So this is more about the Tuskens, especially in episode 2. We get to see more of a humanized story to them, because so much of what we've known of them was they're raiders. They just pillage and everything, and now we get to see more of an emotional and a deeper mythology to their story. Basically, they've been they are victims of kind of a sort of space age, I guess, colonization. Where trains run through their ancestral land, and we get to hear how Boba is having a profound impact on them as well, because we got to fight for this place. This is your place. This is your land. You shouldn't be hidden. And I like this turn, because now we get to see how much more, like you were referring to later, it's like for Tuskens, we get to see a new side of these Tusken Raiders that we've never seen before. So.
Yeah, like I got a lot of reflection of because with Tusken Raiders, they were seen as savages really, because they were they have a certain language. They look apart, and they're known as raiders. They pillage and stuff. But that's like one side that we've always seen of just what we've always seen of them. But it's a lot deeper than that, and it was great that we got to see humanize, they were more of their culture, and that they're more than just what we perceived of them. And they kind of remind me, because Tamura is the lead, and they just remind me of the Maori people, and how their lands were taken from by white people, and taken it their lands were taken, and everything had to deal with that. So it felt really refreshing to have Tamura as the lead, and with the Tusken Raiders kind of claim back that land, because
Yeah.
I think kind of empowering to kind of have that storyline, and have Tamura in part of that as well, because it felt empowering. And also the Tusken Raiders are the earlier Native Americans, or the Maori people who got their lands taken, and they were perceived by Western cultures as savages and natives. But we really see that it's more than that, and and I love that we get to see the culture, and we got to see a lot of culture, and Boba Fett didn't try to teach them his ways. He adapted to theirs, and I was just like, oh, this is great, especially if we know the background of Tamura. So it kind of felt really, really refreshing and heartwarming to have him kind of be in that role, doing that.
Yeah, and there's such a true exchange of cultures, but between them, definitely agree that you have this Snowpiercer train, I guess Sandpiercer train running through the planet, and pillaging these resources from the Tusken Raiders and the people who were there before, and Boba Fett kind of identifying with that, and his teaching them how to drive. That was awesome. I was like, I want Boba Fett to teach me how to drive.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and them sharing, their black melon milk with Boba Fett, and just seeing, the growth of that relationship, which we saw in the first episode, when he was captive at first, before they really broke through all those barriers with each other, with the little kid, and beheading the monster, that was really cool and unique to see, that side of Star Wars. I think a lot of people are trying to figure out how they feel about it, but I definitely love and think that it's so endearing to see that angle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously I'm not Maori or indigenous, but it was really cool to see so Tem his sister was a professional haka dancer. He's obviously very good at the haka, and especially in that final scene, I noticed he was still using those expressions that are supposed to be part of the choreography of the dance, and that was cool, because it was you have this story about land back for natives basically in Star Wars, and so not only was Boba contributing to that story, but you could see Tem bringing more of that into Boba, and more of his own heritage and experience into the character, which I thought was so cool.
Yeah, I just want to quickly add the staff is also a part of his heritage as well. So just want to quickly throw that in.
Yeah. Yeah, that was mentioned back with his first appearance in The Mandalorian. So I thought it was a cool note that they like built on that for this series.
Definitely.
Yeah, the whole building, the forging of the weapon and everything. Yeah, that was pretty.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and I love that we see the backstory of Boba Fett, like what's happening to him, and how that is shaping him as a leader to the present time.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, it reflects back, and so I really, how he says like, I want to rule with respect. I want to do this. He spares people's lives, you know, because in everyone's minds, like Boba Fett, he's a killer. He just wants to kill, kill, kill. But it was nice to like kind of see how his experience with the Tusken Raiders shaped him as a person now too. That he may have been the same type of person beforehand or something, but we don't know. But I appreciate that it kind of leads back to it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
And oh man, I just love seeing Ming-Na and Tem like acting against each other, like I could not, like years ago you could have told me like that doesn't happen. I was like, what? And you like, how? And then now we have it, and it's so cool to see every week. And you know, I know this episode had a little bit less Ming-Na in it, but in the opening, honestly, seeing them like together and like going through and kind of starting to build their power, I was just in awe, and they are just both very hot too.
I love the fact that they're both like, Ming-Na is 57 years old and whereas in his 60s, so it felt refreshing to have two leads who are older people and older people of color, and be badasses. And like, it's because like we typically see people who are like our age or younger to be the heroes or anti-heroes, you know, because we know, but it's refreshing to have it's kind of like F-you Hollywood ageism, like
and look at them, they look hydrated, they look moisturized. I know there was an article that was like criticizing like Boba Fett really needed like a skin routine after he had been birthed from the acids of the Sarlacc pit, but like that Boba Fett versus the one like is it the melon milk, you know? That they,
what's the skincare procedure? Yeah.
And you get that hydro boost that you get in the Bacta tank.
Yeah, what's that Bacta tank and stuff?
It's just made entirely of that Neutrogena moisturizer.
Oh, it's the water based. Oh.
And all it seems like they want to be like, you know, they want to move away from like their past in certain aspects and like be thriving on Tatooine as the new syndicate.
No, I love Ming-Na Wen. Like the fact that I know the next episode, or at least the next episode, we're gonna get a centered on her, because we get to find out how, you know, they got together, really, because like she's a badass assassin. So yes, she may have saved her and stuff, but what made her so loyal to him? Because she could have been like, all right, I'm gonna save you back, and then we're deuces, you know, we're good, I'm gonna go. But instead she's kind of like, I am in your debt forever, like, and I need to know what made this badass woman in that, which is fine, I'm fine with it, because they have a mutual respect. He's not her leader, and like, it doesn't feel like that, and I hope it's not like that, but it feels like
a partnership.
There's a partnership. And I, because it's the Book of Boba Fett, but it's really the Book of like Chen. But like, I want to know I want to know her perspective. I don't want to see him watching her. I want to see her perspective of how she became loyal to him.
Catrina, do you know if you have like any info for us about, you know, that regard? I know you've watched the animated series. Is there anything that like kind of informs the relationship?
Honestly, so Fennec has encountered someone like Boba before, and that's Omega from Bad Batch, who is very much just like Boba, but she's a girl. Like, she's a biological clone, all that. And so I'm interested in like especially with in relation to Fennec's relationship with Boba, I'm interested in seeing like how her past during the Clone Wars and with people like Omega might have influenced that as well. Like she knows what Boba is, and that makes their relationship very different from like Bo-Katan.
Do you think we'll see any of those characters?
No, I mean it'd be pretty sick if we got.
Especially.
Yeah, I mean we're already seeing some really really big names in the Star Wars comics specials that have been about bounty hunters. So I wouldn't put it past them.
I know. I mean, like it's talking about in particular. How are we going to try to pronounce this, y'all? Black
Kirsten. Exactly. I told everybody this before we started the stream, but like the one story I wanted to tell was that like when I saw him come up on screen this morning, I just like blurted out, "Oh my god, it's Black Conversion!" Like I've been reading his name for like so long. It's like the first time you find out that like the word is pronounced epitome. It's like that's not how it looks written. Like I don't know how to pronounce this. Like you just put all of these letters that are not like vowels in a row.
As a Latina, I like throwing in like I like pronouncing things with a Spanish accent that sound like really fancy names. I think it like makes it sound like it's just I'd be like Black Kirsantan.
Oh,
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That works. Yeah.
I think you could pass that.
With the left Santan, like rolling your tongue to do that.
Yes.
That's how
That's
you
it.
it.
You have to like shake your head when you do it too. It has to be like Santan.
Yes. I think he would appreciate that. I think he'd spare our lives.
Yeah.
We would just have our job would be to announce him.
Yeah, exactly. And we would have to do it with like flair.
Yes.
It's so cool to see Easter eggs, though. Like John really, like Catrina said, John really like made sure to like, I think he consulted with a lot of the Lucasfilm people, but like to bring in a lot of that world for us. I mean, even if it's like minor, like Fixer and Carney, Tammy and Fixer, like that was cool.
Yeah, that was really exciting to see them.
Yeah, so like it's the little things that
who are they at first? And then I looked them up, I was like, oh my gosh, that's
yeah. Oh no, I could spot Kami's like grumpy face from fucking miles away. Like like the actress they cast for her was perfect. She was just like grump face the whole time, and that is her character. She is just a real grumpy mean lady. So I love that. She just owns it.
Yes, and just like speaking of like familiar faces, we have the return of the Hutt family with the Hutt twins, like looking like millennial Huttses ready to gentrify Tatooine in a different way.
generation.
Yeah. The Hutts sure have been like wreaking mayhem on Star Wars from the beginning, because like we've gone from where Jabba was to like in Clone Wars there was like a baby Hutt to save and like a gambler Hutt who like had a problem, and like so now we have these like twins where like I quite like that the girl twin refuses to like actually directly speak to someone and just like fans herself
and like talks to her brother, like tell them
like Boba speaks Huttese, but he's still
the brother like dabbing his face.
Yeah.
I loved it. I love them. I'm excited to see what kind of trouble they're gonna start for Boba.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it's I'm really excited to actually like, because you can't kill them without permission. Yeah, because they're still one of the fiercest councils, so it's kind of like I'm really excited to see the Grand Hutt Council. I want to see how this, like, because this will be the first time live action of the council, so I kind of am really looking forward to how they're because with our CGI is amazing, like is better now. So I feel like it'd be interesting to see how they portray the Grand Council together. Especially the twins look really like pretty good. Like not like they look like Huts, but it looks pretty good, especially in that setting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm excited about them. They're so funny though. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like watching them like this is like I just imagine her just like oh like talking to her brother like tell him that, like we should just kill him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a rich girl like oh
Yeah.
Something I do want to talk about, like that reminded me because I saw so many different aliens and creatures carrying the litter, and it's really cool to see how much like creature work is going into this series. Like we've had several awesome looking Twi'leks, like we've had all sorts of like, we've seen these aliens in the cantina and now they're like full-fledged, like out as characters. The what is that? What are they called? This oh no. And it was cool to see like that the mayor as being an Ithorian. We've never really seen one like him with like fur and stuff,
My husband actually thought he was Doc Ondar for a moment, and I was like, it's not Doc Ondar.
No, Doc doesn't get involved with politics. No. He just takes the stuff that's left over,
Like the collector.
Oh yeah.
For sure. And then also, what the heck is that little like lizard drug trip thing?
I know.
I lost my mind.
I was like, did Boba just do ayahuasca?
That's what it seemed like. Like at first I was like, oh, his little buddy. I was like, it's like a Pascal or a Bruni from like Frozen and Tangled. I was like, oh, everyone's gonna have like little art for this little lizard character, and then he just like yeets into his nose.
My favorite thing is his reaction. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I think I swallowed it. He was just like, oh, this is a nice gift. Like, whoa. Oh, I think I'm so sorry.
Big, scary, mysterious Boba Fett apologizes for inhaling a lizard.
Out, like, I thought that was part of the dream.
Yeah, no, I love the balance between like shooting the show, like he is like Boba Fett and he's like this figure and he's like so like legendary, and yet there's those moments of like comedy, because that was great. And I love the partnership between Steph Green and the director and the cinematographer Dean Cunty, who we know as like one of the most legendary cinematographers to shoot cinema, with between Jurassic Park, Halloween. Like he is the reason Michael Myers is freaking terrifying, because he knows how to shoot these like really imposing figures. And so like it was really cool to see that like we have Boba Fett played by Tem, shot by Dean Cundy, directed by Steph Green. Like, oh my god, like we are so lucky.
Yeah.
That was the cinematography in that episode with the tree and everything.
Yeah, especially in the drug trip scene.
The fever dream, yeah.
Like it makes me hopefully she gets like more, she gets her own series like Deborah Chow did. Like I'm just like, oh, she's just so good at capturing like the subtleties and like intense moments, and I'm like, oh, give her own, like give her something.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All the relationships, and even just like him harkening back to his inner child during those moments. Mm-hmm. So like even though like that drug trip scene starts kind of funny, it just definitely goes into what we all know about mushroom and acid trips, that you really do have a moment of processing a lot of like trauma, and like seeing your inner child and like sort of like the conflict that's within you, and try to like work your way out of it. And like just the symbolism of him grabbing that branch and coming out of it with that as like something that he was seeing, that he was wrapped up in and like stuck in, and being like, no, I will forge a weapon out of my like pain and carry it. So cool.
That was
awesome.
That was a great scene. Well, I need to know what you guys thought about the train scene. I was talking to some friends earlier on another stream, talking about the train scene, and like it just reminded them of a western, and like and two of my friends, Maggie and John, they were like, it's like Solo, the train sequence. I try
Yeah,
not
I
to
was gonna
think
say
about
that.
what
Yeah.
happened, with my girl, but like they reminded them of Solo. So what did you guys think of the train sequence?
I was excited about it. Okay, so again, harkening back to Clone Wars, this is not Boba's first rodeo on a train. One of his major episodes has to do with like him transporting bounty from one place to another on a train, and they did a lot of really cool like callbacks to old westerns in that. There's like a one-shot pan through of the entire train that you get with all the characters and what they're doing at the time, and so it was cool to see Boba come back to not necessarily his train roots, but like, like that element of like Western film being brought back into this. So yeah.
I thought it was really well paced out as well, because you have all these moments where they have to avoid the gunfire, and then one crashes into it. So it's fun to see all the these complexities of how it all comes together with everything going on, and you think it's like chaotic at first, and during that whole sequence it must feel like crazy, but when you see it all fully fleshed out, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so cool to see how everything's going on and what sort of obstacles they have to overcome, and what sort of things they must do to get closer to the engine. So yeah.
I think there's like a little shot where that kind of reminds me of like that moment from the sail barge where like someone throws open like a shade and like attacks the person right on the side. So I like those callbacks and moves and stuff. And I really liked that droid who was navigating the train. Just like
Spider droid, yeah.
But yeah, I just like that sequence was so quick, and I think it's at the beginning of that sequence. Is it Cammy and Fixer that are in there and they get like thrown out?
That's at the bar.
Yeah, they're not in the.
Oh, never mind. I forgot the names. I'm confused. But just between the back and forth of like the time like lines it's a lot, but amazing. But the train sequence was so much fun. It did remind me of Snowpiercer, but also of like there's always a train, and I love that trope, especially because obviously it has like roots in like westerns, and we saw something similar on Loki as well.
A lot of trains.
Like there's like every like major universe has a train.
Gotta get from one place to another,
Yes, gotta show how like progress just strips like natives of their resources.
Yeah, but look at how fast that train was going. You gotta show the people how quickly you can get across the desert if you build a bullet train here in California.
And they have insane accuracy to hit those people at the rate at the speed of the train's going at. Oh my gosh!
And to have like a full awesome like action sequence on top.
That last Tusken Raider, the one who went through and kicked everyone's asses, I was just like, I love you.
Yes. Yeah, that lady Tusken Raider, I think she was a lady.
I think so.
That trained Boba to fight in their like style and stuff. I thought that was so cool. Like I thought it was neat how like all of the primary like Tuskens that he interacted with, like you very clearly knew what their roles were, and they each had a very different individual relationship with Boba, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
But
I was also like, oh my god. It's so hot.
Yes, throw me. Yes.
Please, Lady Tusken, marry me.
She just she come up and like look and see the guns like from behind, and she's like, oh, let me deal with that. And I'm just like, that's so badass.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see what we're building up to with like all the different team ups of the tribes of Tatooine, because I think we're going to be seeing more.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Boba has one goal here, and that's to not only like rule Tatooine as its crime lord, but like in a way bring like peace and justice to it in a manner that, you know, the Empire couldn't.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
He says, the police. I'm Boba Fett.
I'm
We're
wondering-
going to do community management.
I love it. And the throne is so cool. Catrina, did you go take pictures of the throne, or Laura
But yeah,
recently?
I have my Fennec Chan cosplay. I'm gonna go next weekend.
Oh.
I have my Fennec. I'm gonna wear it and then sit on the throne.
Yes.
Nice.
So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, like there's another thing that I like. You guys, Jennifer Beals and Matt Berry are in this in the show, on the show now.
So
Jennifer
good.
Beals is amazing. What do you guys think of her character? Like, I feel like I'm suspicious of that character, but I also feel like
I'm suspicious, but I think
survival.
she and Boba need to make out.
I think
Kinda
nobody's
that.
saying
Kinda
out a lot
hard
of
to, like-
people. Well, I'm suspicious because all
Yeah.
of her reasoning makes sense. Like, okay, not only is she like a woman with a business on Tatooine, which is the most dangerous place in the whole wide world, the whole galaxy, but she clearly has a lot of Twi'leks in her establishment. And if we
Mhm.
know something about Twi'leks and how they're treated in the Star Wars universe, especially during Jabba's reign on Tatooine, a lot of those people are probably former slaves. They're, you know, former like servants of sorts. And so she not only has her establishment to protect, she also has her people to protect. So if, you know, if stuff isn't going well with Boba and he isn't going to be beneficial to her, she's not going to ally with him.
Right. And I mean, there could also be the whole thing where she's probably been there in her mind longer than he has, and he's just shown up and been like, I'm gonna claim this throne. And she's probably like, whoa. Like another person vying for that. And no, I agree. Like the Twi'leks have endured so much, as we've seen over the course of like the films. And I definitely think there's gonna be a showdown at their very, very gorgeous sanctuary establishment. Naming something a sanctuary, I feel like, is sort of like creating an omen for you that something's gonna go down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sanctuary, utopia. Those were all words used to describe this place. So yeah, it's something's gonna catch fire.
Michael.
Yeah. Well, I actually agree with you, but David Pascal's character too seems kind of suspicious to me too. Just for my own reasons, but he just I don't think he would be subservient on that kind of. He's just not. I don't think he comes off as subservient. He has his own agenda. I think he's kind of playing the field sort of thing to me. But also he just has a very punchable face. Because I don't know if you guys watch Veep, but he's the actor who played what was that Andrew Meyer, the husband, the ex-husband of Selena Meyer. That guy was just an ass. So
it's cool seeing Matt Berry on this show, especially. I know you brought that up, Laura. I'm really excited about his character. It's the same. I know you, Sabina, and Laura both big Batu fans, so that is the same 8D model that we see at Ronto's Roasters, Turn Droid, I like to call him. So it's cool to see like more.
Ooh. Ronto's Roasters.
And we saw an R3X unit in this episode as well, which is pretty cool.
I don't remember where.
In the at Madame Garces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's so many like Easter eggs with like alien types and robot and different androids and stuff. So I'm kind of like, it's just so like I was trying to keep up. I'm just like, there's so many like Easter eggs.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite kind of Easter egg, though, is definitely the Easter egg of like something we see on the show that happens in the real life later on. And, you know, for people new to the channel, Namtot Network, it's about fandom meeting foods. And I think like with the Star Wars universe, we always have like this like want to have the unique alien cuisines and drinks from this universe. And, you know, we recently saw on Batu that they had a Life Day event, like officially, or at least more officially than like the unofficial awesome gatherings that would happen annually. I know some of our friends have taken part in it and have participated and had like dinners outside of the theme park, but like for Disney and do themed drinks and some themed foods. Do y'all hope and think that they could base any foods off of anything we've seen on the Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, I want to know what black melon milk tastes like.
I could see them serving, in that little black melon like bowl sort of thing.
Yeah, that would be cute.
Isn't like Midori like melon based? Like that's a melon liqueur.
See, if Marvel is able to do that and update their characters and all that stuff in their parks, I don't see why not. Like with Star Wars, like I want them to hire if they can, like a character. I want them to have a Boba Fett character like walking around, like and not the Boba Fett that we like. But I've seen the Boba Fett, but he has the attitude of the original. The original the movies. And so I want to see new current Boba Fett. I want to see
something to coincide with it.
I want it to coincide with the series. With like they haven't done that with the Mandalorian.
That's a really big growing sentiment. And I know, Catrina, you're probably also familiar with this, but the whole thing with Galaxy's Edge and Batuu, when they created it, is that they really wanted it to stick to a time in between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. So that is like the official reason that they really haven't had any characters from all the different eras come into Batuu, is because they're very much like, when you go into Batuu, you're going into this specific time period in the universe. But I do see a lot, like there's a just growing and growing sentiment amongst fans that they do want to see characters from The Mandalorian on Batuu, and like, and I'm sure with Book of Boba Fett also just kind of like pop in. So I think, if the demand keeps growing, that might happen. I think I heard rumors in the past few months about like Darth Vader showing up, or I don't know if I was just like crazy fandom. Like,
I mean, like it's like they would. Well, I mean everything seems very easy in like that, but one part of Batuu until you get like to the Resistance base, and then it gets a little complicated. But like I feel like seasonal overlays are a great idea. Like I'm sure it takes a lot to move those ships in and out of where they are, because that would have to change. It would have to be different ships coming through. But like, I feel like Batuu is it takes place in like the weakest part of Star Wars history right now. And even though I love it and I love Rise of the Resistance, so don't get me wrong, I think that ride is a work of art. I feel like investing in that time period really screwed them over, because like with Galactic Star Cruiser, you can do those overlays. Like everything I've seen of it has not been like, well, there's a Kylo Ren robot stuck in this room for eternity, like it's not like that. So they can go through like different time periods and stuff, but like I feel like Disney really wedged themselves into a corner here, because like my favorite part of Star Wars weekends was that there would be a prequel weekend, there would be a original trilogy weekend. And so like, back in the day, we got Ahsoka and Asajj Ventress at the parks, which was like huge for me. And we got Anakin and Obi-Wan and Padme and Shakti were all characters that were out. And so I feel like, I hope that maybe over the next couple of years that really like dawns on the Disney parks, where it's like, well, we really want to have a prequel season. We want to have an original trilogy season, like the Falcon was around during the prequel era, do what you got to do with it. But like that limiting it was like such a pain, because now you have Star Wars stuff coming out. Like there's nothing planned for the sequel trilogy that's new. There's no sequel trilogy era stuff that's coming up. Everything is original or the High Republic right now. And so it's quickly making Batuu more obsolete. Sorry.
opinion. Nothing matters. Okay?
This is a good safe space to express this. I agree.
Let me go to the prequel weekends, and I'm also it's got a close part of my heart, because like that's where I met Timura like for the first time, because he was in his little car in the parade that said Django Fett, and then we would go to the autograph signings after, and so yeah,
that would be that would be nice. It would be a nice addition. As a Disney fan who goes to parks, like I would love to see that, especially like it's part of it would bring more to the experience too, because we see Loki in like updates every week of his new outfit, so it brings you into that experience too. And I
feel like Disney Plus would love to do that, because like Disney Plus were the ones behind like having those costumes and the characters come out for Marvel as the shows were going on as part of promotion, and I'm sure Disney Plus would want to like do that in the Star Wars areas. At least do it with the food and snacks, though.
Right?
It seems that they are aware of it too. Yeah. It seems like the Batu situation, they're just completely ignoring what's going on. Like, oh, we don't know that there's a Book of Boba Fett show, So by doing that, by doing that, they'll say like, oh, this is a part of it. Well, if you want to know more, watch the show, and then you can come back, sort of thing. So
yeah, that's something I noticed about park organization is like, if you want something, or if you need something that is not from the era of Last Jedi to the Rise of Skywalker, you have to go across the park to Tomorrowland and get your merch there, because forget finding something from the original trilogy on Batu unless it's at Doc Ondar's.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they just decide to make Tomorrowland an additional Star Wars land.
I mean, you could reincorporate Space Mountain into something Star Warsy.
I do love
what are you doing with Toontown? What are you doing with Toontown? Aren't they doing
right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're side note here. Toontown is getting a Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, so they're gonna retheme it to be more of like the actual cartoons, or at least the new reimagining of the cartoons that are on Disney Plus, which are amazing. I love the new Mickey shorts. They're ridiculous. They're kind of like Ren and Stimpy like, which is so weird but amazing.
I just remembered that one skit where like Minnie like passes out or she's in trouble.
Oh, Minnie! I tripped on a dwarf!
Runs through the woods, and it's so dramatic, and he gets her and he's like, what happened?
Who watches it? Like, he watches it. So I'm glad Toontown's not going to go away, because I need a place to sit down and just have him run.
Yeah.
But
they're definitely remaking that into like a more playground sort of vibe.
Would be okay with him running around, Batu and more his namesake.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be so cute. Oh my god.
All right, he'll be dressed up soon, like in his outfit. Once they release Boba Fett like outfits for toddlers, I'm good. Like his current.
I miss the Disney store, y'all. Like, we could just go to the Disney store and see the outfits, because they had the Mandalorian costume.
Yep.
Quickly during that run, and now you can't like just go and get it. It's so lame.
Yeah.
When they were selling Zooms at the time, I always went to the Disney store. Like, that's what I'm going to go to shop to get my
collection.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, before I know we have to wrap up soon, but I want to talk to you guys. My favorite part, even though it's everyone, my favorite part is the receptionist, and how he's just like, I don't have time for this shit. Like he represents all of us. Like you're not on the schedule. So
I'm sorry. Are you the main character of this day? And then it's like, oh wait.
Like it's just so funny, because it's like I have guns and I'm here to bring this prisoner who tried to kill me, and he's just like, let me check your name. He's just like, I was just like, he is all of us. This guy is just like, I'm just here so I can get paid. Like that was like I had to sit back and I'll be like, oh my god, I love that character. I don't know your name, but I love your character.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be a good Disney bound.
Oh, look at me! Oh my god! Just like standing there, like, all right, with your phone, like, I'm just here. Oh, I wish I wanted to just talk about that character. I'm just like, oh, that character made me laugh so much.
Yeah, there's like a lot of lovable, like minor and side characters in this show, and I'm impressed by how many we have met in 2 episodes. Like,
yeah.
I'm waiting for my cute animal. Like, I'm waiting for the cute animal that I want to buy all the stuff toys.
The
those
fuzzy animal that Hut was holding.
Oh,
The lizard.
No, not the lizard. It was like a fuzzy animal.
Oh no, I know the little mister, right?
Yeah, the rat thing.
It was like a little rat. Yeah.
He was like wiping his sweat. The Huts were wiping the twin was wiping his sweat with. But I'm just really waiting for a cute animal. Like when they threatened the Rancor, I'm like, oh, I hope it's a baby Rancor. Like, and Nick Chan was like, oh, you'll just have to deal with the Rancor, and like, she tricked him, and I was thinking, oh, a baby Rancor is gonna come out, and it's gonna be so cute, and I'm gonna love it, and then nothing came out, and I'm just like, they could have made me spend more money on a cute animal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have so many Baby Yoda stuff. Where is my cute animal? Like.
Listen,
exactly.
I would be fine if Baby Yoda just rolls through like a badass later on to like help in some way.
That would be amazing.
Oh, I would like to have a hint of Dr. Afra because Black Panther Stan is there. So
Yeah.
Something that we see, we have some kind of Easter egg of it.
Yeah, Afra and Cobb Vanth are the 2 that I just like. I believe out of everyone, they're the ones who could show up. Cobb, because he's like the sheriff of a town and Boba wants to make alliances, and already knows him sort of. and then and Afra just because like Black Kristen is there. There, like there's crime and stuff going on. All you need is like a real valuable artifact, and Afra will be there. So
yeah, really, like for me, I'm just like when they introduce like Black Panther, I was like, okay, I hope they have a mention because that way it could lead us to that eventually to that live action I've been waiting for.
Yeah. Well, it's clearly not the last time we're gonna see him, because those twins have hired him to like I guess be their bodyguard or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully with his return, we'll also see Afra come back at some point. Because that would be so sick.
What are you guys hoping for? What are you guys hoping for? We only have 4 episodes left.
Ah!
Yeah.
Why are they so short? These seasons, y'all.
Everything is short. I hate it.
This was one of the longer episodes too. It's like 50 minutes, I think.
Yeah. But still, like, it's not enough for our brain.
Yeah, of course. It's never enough. You need more.
I'm really hoping we get to see Bosk. Like I hate to have a short list of characters that I want to see because I know you always get disappointed if that's how it happens, but I'm not that emotionally attached to it. But it would be cool just because Bosk did play. He plays a huge part in Boba's life growing up. Like he was basically Boba's like bounty hunter uncle throughout like most of his teen years. And so if Boba's looking to form alliances and Bosk is still alive, like that's one of the people I think he's gonna call. So I'm hoping we see him real soon.
Mike?
I'm hoping to see IT-88. I just have an obsession with IT-88. I love Assassin Droid, so yeah, that's who I'm hoping to see.
Laura?
I'm looking forward to, obviously I want to see more Finnick, but like of her just shining and being the lead as well, because Ming-Na and supremacy, but like I like Afro is who I definitely want a mention, just a mention. I'm okay with that scrap because there's no time, because it's 4 episodes, what are you gonna expect? But I would like to see the return of the Tusken Raiders. I said this before. I'm obsessed with them now, because before I had this idea of them in my head where I'm just like, ugh, I don't care about you guys. Like, you guys are just like characters like who pillage and like, but you know, I understand with reason. But now I feel like I really understand these characters, and they made me really love, like really fall for them. And you know, I've always like respected every character because they all like, everyone's the hero in their own story. So, but like, I I really appreciated this character, and I want to see them kind of come back, come and, you know, build that bond again. Like, if he really needs them, they're gonna come back. They really are family, and family seems to be like a theme, especially since the mayor was like family, because like, you know, the huts. But I would like to see like the Tusken Raiders come in again. And it sounds tropey because it's like Boba Fett needs help. The family from the original, like at the beginning, comes and saves him. But I think it's refreshing to have them come back, especially since we've grown a bond with them.
Definitely, yeah.
Oh, I agree. I love that we've gotten more like just background on all these different sort of like cultures and tribes on Tatooine. We've gotten more creatures, we've gotten more droids, we've gotten more like drinks at the bar, and different foods, and like, you know, just awesome female characters. I'm excited to see, and I wonder if it's, you know, if this is just fully going to take place on Tatooine, or if we're going to go off-world at any point for any period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of sand going on. But yeah, no, I'm so excited, and I think we're in for like a really big treat with this show, and I'm excited to see who else has directed on it, and is like you also just even have like this the little Easter eggs of the creatives behind the scenes being in it too. Like Robert Rodriguez did the voice of the mayor like in this episode, and it's so funny because you're just like, who is that? I know who that is. I'm trying to figure it out. So seeing more of that will be really, really cool. But yeah, thank you guys for hopping on, letting me host this. I just, you know, like, I love having conversations with y'all, are so knowledgeable, and I just love seeing your faces. But can you tell, we'll go around and like let everyone know where they can find you. We'll start with Catrina.
Hi, you can find me anywhere on the internet if you look for Catrina. That's OHCATRINA. My podcasts are all listed on my profile, and they will all be restarting this year, which is very exciting and overwhelming. Yeah, that's me.
Laura.
You can find me on Twitter at Sirikul, Sirikul. I'm always tweeting where I'm writing to. Like, I cover with the Nerds Color too. And so yeah, so I'm always on there, and I'm gonna be talking about my Tusken, the black Tusken Raider, who I need to find out a name. They have to give me a name so I could just post that everywhere, because I love that Tusken Raider.
Mm-hmm.
So you can find me on all socials at I am Michael Daly. That's all just one word, and that I write for That's It LA, We Live Entertainment, and Nerds of Color.
Yes, and you can find me, Sabina Graves, here on Nom Talk. I'll be hosting these roundtables every week and bringing in awesome friends that I'm really big fans of and I love listening to share their insight and knowledge about all things Star Wars and Disney Plus and theme parks. We will definitely continuously like sidetrack into theme park talk, but it works because we are always at Batu and running into each other there. But besides being able to find me at Disney parks, you can find me on Twitter at Sabina Has No R, and on Instagram at That Lady Graves. And you can follow Nom Talk Network on Twitch, on YouTube, on Instagram, and we'll be sharing and putting this all over the place. So hopefully we'll see you soon and next week.